Chris Hipkins.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. Very happy to pick up where I left off a bit earlier on, and I want to move now to clause number 21. Commissioners must establish advice process. And the clause number 21 sets out that the Commissioners must, as soon as practicable, establish a process for seeking advice from the mayors of the territorial authorities in the Canterbury region on local issues that affect the exercise of the powers and performance of the functions of ECAN. It's interesting in this bill, is it not, that they only have to consult the mayors. They don't have to consult the councillors. This basically says that there are two tiers of local authority members. It says that mayors are important, the councillors, also democratically elected, are not. And the commissioners only need to talk to the mayors. Well, what happens in a situation where the mayor may not necessarily reflect the view of the whole council? The council itself does not get to have any say into that. So I'm very concerned that, in fact, only the mayors get the opportunity to give advice to the commissioners, and councils will not be consulted. I also want to move back to the clauses which effectively cancel the next local government election, and they for ECAN, and they replace that they override the Local Electoral Act and the Local Government Act. And I want to ask the Minister of Justice in particular to comment on why he thinks that electoral laws for local authorities should be overridden by this House without any broad bipartisan support, because that is something that he has argued for at the national level for nationwide local government reform. It's not something that he is seeking to do at the local level, and I want to know why the government thinks that they should be treated separately. I want to move to clause 22, the election of members of ECAN. It effectively cancels the next election for members of ECAN. It says that the voters of Canterbury will not get to have a say on who will represent them on these important issues, such as the management of water. They won't get a say in that. They don't get a say in this bill. They don't get a say in the removal of the democratically elected council members. They would have had a say in October of this year, when they could have replaced that council had they been dissatisfied with it. At the very least, if they are not going to have the opportunity to have a vote in an election, they should have the opportunity to come to a select committee and have a say at a select committee. The councillors who are being removed by this bill should have the opportunity to come and put their view to parliamentarians before the parliamentarians vote on that matter. Now, it is not unusual. I understand the government want to move with some haste on this. It is not unusual for truncated select committee processes to be used in situations like that. They can be done reasonably quickly. But unfortunately, this government has a real reluctance when it comes to issues of democracy to put those matters before a select committee. They didn't put most of the Auckland governance reforms before a select committee. They did not give the people of Auckland a chance to have a say on the removal of their 7 democratically elected councils and their replacement by the Auckland Transition Agency, which was what the first Super City bill did. They didn't send that to a select committee and give them a chance to have a say on that. And they're not giving the people of Canterbury a chance to have their say on the removal of the ECAN. And of course, as a Wellington Member of Parliament, I want to know, are we next? Because they've been to Auckland, then they went to Christchurch, and are they going to come to Wellington next? And if so, what's going to be removed? Will it be the regional council? Will it be the local councils? Will they be merging the councils in Wellington without giving the people of Wellington a chance to have a say on that? Because they've done Auckland, they're now getting stuck in Christchurch. Wellington must be next. It must be next on the agenda. By population terms, it certainly would be. It's probably only a matter of time before Rodney Hyde, Nick Smith and their colleagues decide to get stuck in and have a crack at Wellington. Mr Speaker, I want to just summarise the main concerns I have around the way commissioners are appointed and their remuneration. Basically, the commissioners will be appointed exclusively at the whim of the minister. Their remuneration will be established at the whim of the minister, and they can be removed at the whim of the minister. Their terms of reference are set at the whim of the minister. So the minister has ultimate control over the total functioning of these commissioners. Now, I happen to have, I've heard one of the names of a commissioner who is going to be likely to be appointed, and that's somebody who I have a lot of confidence in. She did a fantastic job with the fire service, and I think that's great. But what I'm concerned about is actually that her position will be undermined by the ultimate authority that the minister will have with regard to the position. If the minister does not like...
Chris Tremaine.
Be now put.
Honourable Lee and Dalziel.
Thank you for allowing the call. Since the last time I spoke on this part of the bill, I've actually tabled an amendment, so I would really like to speak to that amendment. And the reason I tabled the amendment actually came from other contributions that have been made in this House. So we have been listening to this debate and contributing to it, I think, in a fair and reasonable way, because there are concerns about the way this particular part of the bill has been promoted. The clause that I want to really focus on, the one that I have an amendment to, is clause 14. Now, I know my colleague Brendan Burns has an amendment to actually remove this clause, but if that doesn't succeed, he's actually got an amendment that suggests that the commissioners actually be the current ECAN councillors, that they be appointed to the role of commissioners, which I think would have a very good signal, would give a very good signal to the people of Canterbury that at least the people that they elected to these positions would hold this position through to the establishment of the water plan. And I actually think that there's a certain degree of neatness around that is worthy of greater debate and consideration in this environment. However, given that I have a sneaking suspicion that the government will vote down that particular amendment, I have another amendment which asks for us to look at adding additional criteria to the appointment of commissioners. So let me read clause 14 at the moment. Paragraph 1 states, the responsible ministers must appoint commissioners who collectively have knowledge of and